Touchscreens are everywhere. Your phone, your PC, your car, or even that vending machine that randomly decides not to work when you're hungry. But here's a question a genius would ask. How do these screens even work? This video will discuss the logic behind touchscreens and also how they are actually built. Everything literally from scratch. Touchscreens mainly came in two types, resistive and capacitive. Now these resistive touchscreens worked using pressure sensors, which had flexible layers inside registering an input. These screens were slow, unresponsive at times, and overall unpleasant to use. If you remember using those old phones where you had to stab the screen with a stylus, that was resistive tech, and consumers were quick to hate on them. And companies which decided to stick to them failed fast, and the era of capacitive touchscreens evolved quick. Now these use our body's natural conductivity to detect change in electrical charges to predict touch. No more pressure, no more smashing the screen. These screens were smooth and felt futuristic, making resistive touchscreens vanish from the industry. Capacitive touchscreens are what we are going to focus on this video. Now, as I already said, these screens used the change in electric charge to sense and predict touch. But what does that exactly mean? And how does that even happen? Great question. Know that as humans, we are naturally conductive, and we are able to disrupt electric fields when we touch things. Think of the screen as a sensitive field detector, which constantly monitors the changes in electric fields, which is what happens when your finger touches the screen. But hey, I'm still so confused. Like, how does any of this even work? Like, how does this work or this work or this? Chill out. In order to understand better, we would have to learn how touchscreens are built. The basic components can be summed up into three parts. The cover glass. This is the thing your greasy fingers actually touch and is mostly there for protection. Then the touch sensor itself, where all the engineering happens. Then the controller chip that processes the input taken from the touch sensor and sends the data to the computer processor for further decision making. This shit's boring, I'm out, bruh. Shut up and bear with me. The cover glass and the chip are pretty self-explanatory, but to clearly understand the tech behind touch, we gotta focus on these touch sensors, which should naturally raise many questions. A good way to understand would be to learn how these are built. The real wizardry happens in these touch sensors. In order to make one, you would first need a chemical called indium tioxide, in short, ITO. Now why use ITO? It's one of the few materials that both transparent and at the same time conducts electricity. While other options do exist, ITO is the only one which shows up to work. Sorry fancy materials, you guys are just not better. Now these ITOs are made into thin layers of grid-like structures. These grids basically act like electrodes, which sense the disturbance in charges we were talking about. Now this layer is later on used as a conductive coating on top of a base, and then the whole thing is sometimes insulated with an additional material. And there you go, you have yourself a touch sensor. Now before you get too happy, I would like to point it out that this process requires complex manufacturing machines and it is where all real engineering takes place. Now for the last step, all you have to do is use an optical adhesive, which is basically a cooler way of saying transparent glue, to stick it all up together. And you would have yourself a fully functionable touch screen. Whoa, that's so cool.